so, all right. Lost Ark had a live stream, and the live stream didn't go well. And then Lost Ark had to go back and do an emergency live stream for the first live stream. And then the emergency live stream for the first live stream didn't go well either. So then after that, they did an emergency live stream with Gold River, who's like the main guy for Lost Ark, and he's going to be talking about the game in general, what's happening with it, etc. And this is the emergency live stream that is the apology for the emergency live stream that was the apology for the actual live stream. That, to be fair, in that one was also the apology for the game.
He's back because people are really mad, dude. People are really... The last 10 days, lots of drama.
Yeah.
So he had to intervene, as he said himself.
And apparently there's also like a lot of censorship with Lost Ark. Like the game is getting censored because of China.
The reason why people are mad is because of the Chinese censorship ending up in the Korean patch right now. That's also supposed to go to NAU, right? So there were some problems where he explained like in detail how the patch note works. Each department works on each section of the patch note, and then they do the check, proofread, and then they gotta like press a couple buttons where this region gets this patch with these files.
I feel like that's not really a big deal that like the Koreans accidentally got the China patch, right? Like that's not like, I mean, mistakes happen. It is what it is. Like I feel like that's probably not why everybody was mad, but yeah, shit happens. Who gives a fuck, right? But because it's like obviously it was a mistake. It's not like they were doing it on purpose. So like just fix it. It's done.
Region gets this patch with these files, and there was like a mistake. So he's trying to like, he got all these evidence to pretty much convince that it was a mistake. Now, why is this even a big deal in the first place? Because Smilegate said they'll go the extra mile, work extra hard to have each region feel, I guess, unique or cater to that region, localized, and they're not gonna be lazy.
For Korean, it's a big deal. Like
just
political
ship
thing?
one patch to all the regions, like JP, Russia, NAU. And
yeah, because like from my perspective, I don't really see the big deal in that, because it was just like, it just seemed like, oh, they fucked up. Okay, well, okay, whatever.
Korea, right? So people in Korea felt that with the latest patch, there were a lot of like weird censorship. So people thought that they were being lazy, going against what they promised, and they're just like gonna be lazy from now on. Because it feels like the game's been lazy because like all the regions haven't been getting a lot of love. For example, Asmongold's like, why don't they change Chaos Dungeon? Why is that so hard? Why is it taking so long? So people are like, what's going on here?
Well, they're adding new raid content. I mean, they added the Akan and that Voldyke raid as well. There's Elgatia. I think that Elgatia is before Akan. Like they're adding content. It's not like they're not adding content. It's just that content only appeals to the people that are currently playing the game. So like if you don't have the gear to do that raid, that content's not for you. It doesn't change your gameplay at all.
You guys are supposed to work in China and get ready for China with Tencent. Huge, right? Huge deal. We get it. We're not saying don't work on that. We're not saying don't make money. Make the money and then reinvest into the game or make Lost Ark 2, whatever. That's fine. But you guys said you're not going to be lazy. You want to cater to that region. That's what you promised in the first place. And that's what we expect from now, because that's what you promised. So they felt the latest patch broke that promise. They felt betrayed. There's a bunch of other issues. Like Law On was a disaster. Communication was a disaster. There's like 600 different issues. But he cleared up the censorship thing. Now people are, at the end of the day, they were doing well 2 years ago. And they had a lifeline. Like think of Zelda character, right? They have HP. In the span of 10 days, they lost all of that. When the stream was starting...
I don't know if I agree that they lost all of it in 10 days. I feel like it was just like... It was like they were adding debuffs, and in the last 10 days, they started taking damage. But because of all the debuffs they had accrued over the past year, the damage did way more. Like, I think that's like the best metaphor I can use for it. You know, they had a bunch of like, you know, Sunder Armor, fucking Vulnerability, Curse of Recklessness, Curse of Weakness, Curse of the Elements, Demoralizing Shout, Thunderclap, you know, all these things. So like by the time that they actually did take the damage, it was like one and done.
People were spamming Ni Hao, you know, like sold out to China, basically. They lost all their lifelines, excuses, HP, all of that stuff. However, as it comes to censorship, whether you believe Gold River or not is going to be up to you. All right. But one thing he does promise is that they're going to operate as promised. Each region will have its own localization.
As like as an American player, I could not give less of a fuck. If they accidentally gave us the Chinese version of Lost Ark, I would think it's funny. Because I'd be like, what the fuck does this show? What the fuck is this, right? Like, I wouldn't really care. I understand in Korea it's a different culture, you know, it's like a big thing. Like, apparently, I don't get it, I don't understand it, but that's what I'm being led to believe. But I think that, like, really, to me, it's just that the systems in the game are exhausting.
It has its own global team, like NAU has its team, as well as China, Russia, right? And they're gonna make sure that, like, for example, if there's like something happening in China, like for example censorship, it's not gonna end up in NAU. I hope so. And it's not gonna end up in Korea or Russia, aka they won't be lazy and make one patch for all regions as promised. All right.
I also I do think that making a game, whenever you are designing something with a lot of different types of communities in mind, like, here's an interesting question. Would the Vicus raid exist if this game had released with China and the US and Russia as as like regions from the beginning? No, it wouldn't exist. So I think that them saying that is one thing. But the truth is that whenever you know that you're designing content and the content is going to go to these different regions, you are going to design content with that in mind. And there will be things that you don't do and punches that you pull and vice versa. It's just how it is.
He denied all claims of censorship with examples. Once again, whether you believe him or not, like, he doesn't blame you.
Can I give examples? I think that I think probably Vicus is the best example I could use. Right? Is that if Lost Ark had released in China before any of the Legion raids would have come out and before that was a character, would Vicus as a raid and like the whole the whole theme of Vicus, would that have existed in the game even in Korea? I don't think so. Because I think that they would have known that, hey, this isn't going to work in, like, let's say Russia or China, and even the US might have some problems with it, and we're not going to do that. Like, I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I feel like logically you could assume that.
If you don't believe him, okay? Anyways.
But it is an assumption.
Next, censorship requests from China.
I could be wrong.
There was a lot of, like, requests. Right, so it's usually done by the publisher, is what he's saying, but they do have a team on standby in Korea. So they got some requests in January to May, and I guess that increased like workload by like 12.3%. It was what he was saying. So because of this, Lost Ark Korea, and I'm guessing NAU also got affected by this. They had issues. Okay. So
yeah, they did censorship stuff with the US game as well. I think that this is so fucking cringe. It's so annoying. And like, it's the same thing with like Saudi Arabia. I think it was like one of these Middle Eastern countries that they don't have Final Fantasy 16. I'm assuming because of the whole Dion situation. Well, fuck off. It's art. This is the art. Like, I don't want to have to, like, what the fuck? This was the intent of the artist. You either show it or not. We're not a fan. I'm not a fan of censorship in any. I would not say anyway, right? Maybe there's a couple of things I'd be okay with, but 99% of censorship is dog shit. It adds no value, and all it does is make people that have no real problems feel good. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. All right.
We had like very little skins this year. He does acknowledge that, right?
Yeah.
That is a fact. It's undeniable. He apologizes. Basically, he apologized a lot today, all right, for almost everything.
Yeah, we saw that.
Everything. So he promised that the second half of 2023, avatar production or skin production will not be affected by any of the requests from Tencent or AGS when it comes to regional.
Can I fucking just be honest? I think the amount of skins in the game, that's like if we were to make a tier list of problems with Lost Ark, that's in whatever the bottom one is. It's below that. Like, the skins in the game are great. I like them. All right, cool, awesome. Now, what about the actual game?
Localization, okay?
Who cares?
That's about it for skins. So yay for them. All right. Localization of NA, EU, Russia, CNJP started around 2016. It's not something... Basically, he's telling us this because it's not something that was just like at the start of this year.
Koreans really do care.
All right. However, still...
I get it.
It did cause extra workload. All right. Even though they started in 2016. But because they started in 2016, they were able to launch as many regions that they have today. Okay. All right. People really want a new head director after the last emergency stream.
Well, because they want a witch to burn. Because, like, 3 guys, which one of the 3 guys is really the one that's wrong? Like, they want to have one guy that they can blame everything on.
Emergency stream with the 3 bozos, all right? Sorry, man.
3 bozos.
I'm fried. I haven't slept in over a day, okay? But anyways, the people felt that the 3 team managers...
Those are the bozos?
The guys who do this. You know, they're coding, they develop the game. One guy's in charge of loot.
Yeah, these guys are not public representatives. They're coders at a Korean video game company. Why are you putting them on the camera? Why are you doing this?
One guy's in charge of raids. One guy's in charge of like balance. One guy's a lore guy. They just do this.
The lore
right?
of the game. Oh god.
They're not a talker. They're not a streamer. So
yeah.
A lot of people in Korea are like, dude,
true.
We can't talk to these guys. Who are these guys? So they want a new director. At first, Gold River thought that, and you know, it wasn't needed. But after hearing our suggestion, TLDR, he agrees with us and promises a new director. He's going to pass the baton by the 5th anniversary, which is around October. In the meantime, Gold River will step down as CCO, Chief... What was it again? Creative Officer. And he will be a part-time director. And he will discuss the problems of the game, the content of the game, with us in the meantime through these live streams.
Great.
As I said, guys, this stream...
Some guy in chat says China Chief Officer.
Not fix everything. You know, Lost Ark has lost all its HP. It needs to work together with their fan base, with their users, and build that trust again and make the game great again together. So in the meantime, Gold River will step down as CCO and be a part-time director. He will have a lot more time to communicate with us, and that will be a priority about all the current issues. Right now, he was trying to pretty much get rid of the fire for this issue right here. So he wasn't able to do a lot of like the internal data that he likes to do when it comes to like what eye level people are stuck at, like gold acquisition, all that data. He is going to go back and get more of that to discuss the other things which we are getting into right now. So yeah, the new director should be in place by 5th anniversary.
Okay.
Next part, he talks about the issues presented during the Q&A. Not really Q&A, right? It was just bullet points they pre-picked. Felt so scripted during Lowell On this summer. So he wanted to go a little bit in detail, even though, as he said, he does not have the data to back it up yet. He is still printing those out, getting those all neatly charted and stuff. So we could excuse him for that. All right. First, he talked about dailies. Wow. The first thing he talked about were dailies. Yes. He still plays the game, and he talks about his Chaos Dungeon experience. He understands why people want 2 down to 1. He understands going to the left hand side.
How's this so hard? I don't get it. How's this so hard? Like,
clicking enter, re-enter. All right, but he feels that just reducing it 2 to 1. Okay, he's not saying he's not gonna do it. He says that just reducing it from 2 to 1 is not the solution. Remember, he's not.
I think he's partially right about that. It's not the. It doesn't solve the problem, but it makes the problem not as bad. It's like a Band-Aid. It's like, okay, we know this is bad. And really, like, okay, so the players think it's bad. The developers think it's bad. Gold River thinks it's bad. Everybody thinks it's bad. Why is it there? Wouldn't it make sense that you just make it as easy as possible to ignore, and then it doesn't matter?
An armchair developer
until
like
you fix
Twitch
it.
Chat. This guy is a director of a 12-year-old process. He feels that in terms of loot drops doesn't feel rewarding, right?
No, it doesn't.
In terms of...
Well, but why do the loot drops not feel rewarding? Because 90% of the fucking engravings suck and nobody wants them. That's the problem. You get a 7-3 or 4-1 or a 6-1, like and the engravings suck. Like there's like 10 good engravings, probably less than that, and then there's 20 bad ones.
Mob placement, mob spawns, in terms of just many things. He feels like the Chaos Dungeon needs, he just needs to tear it apart.
Yeah.
Like, is it fun?
Yeah, you can't accelerate the Chaos Dungeon by being good at it.
Is a loot feeling good? Is it not? So he needs to tear it apart and fix this grind. It's gonna be an easy grind. It's gonna be considered in the like, he already has a tier list of easy grind. So in terms of that, he needs to pretty much go back to the basics and reconstruct this. In the meantime, while he is working on this with the 3 dudes, in the meantime, he's going to roll out these quality of life patches that reduce the spawn time of the mobs, so they spawn faster, they spawn closer to the middle of the map, they don't have long attack range, so they move towards you, right? Towards your hitbox. So those fixes will be implemented so that until there is a revamp, you guys don't get as burnt out. In the meantime, right?
All right, yeah, sure, we'll try that out. We'll see what happens. Okay. I don't think that solves it. I still think you should just make it 1. I think that doing 2 Chaos Dungeons is a lot better than doing 2 Guardian Raids. Doing 2 Guardian Raids is the real cock. The 2 Chaos Dungeons is like just okay. Like, I like Chaos Dungeons a lot more than Guardian Raids.
Trying to lessen the burden till the new thing that he hasn't planned comes to fruition and hits the live server. Okay? Next, Guardians. Guardians, he has some ideas, right? He also feels like it's like Chaos Dungeons, as in it's not just, reduce it into 1. He needs to deconstruct everything or reconstruct. Okay? So basically what...
No, I don't agree. I think that doing Guardians is fine every day. I think it's totally fine. You just shouldn't have to do it twice. I don't have a problem doing a Guardian once a day. That's fine. Is that bad? Like, I don't know. It's like a weekly thing. Yeah, sure. Weekly. Yeah, make it a weekly thing. Like, you do it 5 times a week. It's fine. Give it a health bar? Yeah, no, I think that Guardian Raids, this is what they should do. They should make it to where you automatically get flares. I think flares and pheromones, you just automatically get them. They add no value to the game. And I think even you could just say flares. I think just flares. Flares are a unnecessary problem that adds no value to the game. Like, it's just, we've created a problem and now we give you this item to solve it. That's it. So, number 1. Number 2, I think that the way that people play Guardian Raids is the problem. Because whenever you finish your first Guardian Raid, you want to go and you do them the second that you do it the second time, right? You do the same Guardian. I think it would feel way better if you could only do one like theoretically, I would enjoy Guardian raids a bit more if you could only do one Guardian per day. Like, and that way you do 2 different ones every day rather than just do the same one every single day. Personally, like I'm just saying, like, and also the health bar. Just give Guardians a health bar. Why not? What is this? Why can't we see? Because it's like they have. I mean, like, so Hell mode has a health bar, so you can see debuffs and stuff like that. But Guardian raids don't? You're telling me a Guardian raid is more serious than a Hell mode? Like, what is this? It's so silly. Just give it a health bar.
Like, I guess this is like one of his ideas. I don't know if it's concrete. He's thinking, instead of making it twice a day every day, how about make it 3 times a week? That gives the developer some creative freedom.
Twice a day, every day, then make it 3 times a week? Yeah, kill 3 Guardians a week. That'd be fine. Sure. That's totally okay. Yeah. All right.
To make it a little bit more challenging. Sure. And if it's a little bit more challenging, give them more rewards so it feels rewarding. And then get rid of like the stupid old counter stagger destruction kind of rinse repeat. Okay, so this is going to be called a middle tier content.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
I think that's okay.
Literally 2 brain cells.
Cool.
And the Guardians going to be, I guess, like diet.
Yeah, so Honkai Star Rail has that for the, what do you call it? Echo of War.
Level of 4 bosses or something. I don't know. A little bit more harder, right? But they're going to compensate us for, I guess, our effort and our time. That is the goal. Yeah. And then endgame, he feels that endgame is it needs also like a rework, right? They can't just keep going up and up and up doing Legion Commander raids, right? He's very concerned. First priority, he says with his own words that it is very important for him that middle users have a way to catch up to the endgame. I think a lot of people miss that part, right? But he needs to go see the data on this, but he knows people have a hard time catching up to the end game. And as for the hardcore users, he understands they want better rewards, better feeling content, more content. He does acknowledge that this game, gear acquisition, not gear honing, gear acquisition is faster than other games, so that end game, so he does understand why endgame feels old.
Well, also, like, a lot of the tier sets, like, I can't speak for every class. I really only play Barbarian. Or not Barbarian, what is it in that game? Berserker? But, like, getting the new set of gear never really made me play the game any differently. Like, there was never any transformative gameplay of, oh, wow, now I have this new set, and everything is different.
And boring after a while.
Yeah, you just do more damage.
Don't need it as much, and also we got to repeat it.
It's boring.
Multiple characters. So he's going to implement more endgame, but it's not going to...
Like, for example, the Betrayal set. It was actually fun to go around in Chaos Dungeons and have, like, the Preemptive Strike glyph and the Betrayal set and just one-shot everything in Chaos Dungeons because it was different types of gameplay. And I think that this is, like, it was, like, very, very on rails.
Be just, like, huge vertical climbs or, you know, just Legion Commander raids. Sometimes they're going to tone it back in terms of, like, development or design, and do maybe like a remake of Kako Seidon or Vicus or some of like the Hell modes. They're thinking about either like kind of like scrapping or making it.
Well, Kako Seidon, like I think that they should just make it to where failing the Mario just kills the character and it doesn't wipe the raid, like in Gate 3. That's it. That's all they need to do. It's not hard because it will still almost wipe the raid every single time because you're going to miss you're going to miss the stagger. It already does that. Did they change it? Because whenever I played the game, if you fail Mario, everybody dies.
Into like normal, hard, hell, or scale to our eye level. Like he's basically anything's possible. There's a lot of things.
Misremembering?
He knows that getting gear, and we want to, as an endgame player, use that gear, right? Use that gear for other content to, like, that's the whole point of action RPG MMO, right? You want to get the gear and use it. And having only like one form of raid to use that is kind of boring. He knows. So he wants to implement these additional raids that you could flex your gear and kind of like...
Oh, they are totally right about this. This is why world bosses work so well for Diablo 4. And it works even better for Lost Ark. Is because people do world bosses that are level 100 so they can kill the world boss in 3 seconds and people be like, wow! People did the same shit in LFR and WoW whenever you could get crazy gear. That's just how it is because people want to show off and they want to show how good they are. And it's easy. You just add in, like, I remember they had like that dragon raid that we watched. I was sad that we never got a chance to do it because it looked really fun. It was like that Kaiser or whatever the fuck his name was. And they ended up taking that out of the game. They need to have more things like that. Like add in more content for endgame players to do. Because if you are an endgame player, you're not really doing anything different. Like what do? Boss rush? It's a joke. You do the cube? It's a joke. You do chaos dungeons? Obviously a joke. Guardian raids? You're obviously like way over geared for a guardian raid if you're actually doing the hard content.
It's PvE content, but you verse others and like, you know, MVP and stuff like that. So he completely knows that endgame users want to use their gear and get the satisfaction and enjoyment out of the gear, out of their vertical progress. So TLDR, more raids. Okay, it's not the same stupid system. He's gonna do other things in the meantime. That is
like larger raids with more people.
And it goes for events as well. He's gonna stop doing those Mokoko events. He saw some invent thread saying that why is Lost Ark so peaceful? Why are Mokokos, you know, at a water park as a pirate? When, like, do they not even need us anymore? Like, do the heroes of Arcadia are we like needed or not? So that, I guess, struck him, because basically it tells me what Gold River did. He just went off what players wanted. Right. It's like, oh, they love Mokoko, so keep putting in the Mokokos. Oh, they love Legion raids, so just keep putting in the Legion raids. So I think this is a great attitude because he acknowledges that, you know, oh, sometimes we need to step back and then know when to stop. Know when to...
I'm just trying to think about, like, what the logic of that is. Because I thought the Mokokos kind of just did their own thing. Like, they were like little, like, leprechauns. Like, they live in a shoe. The problems of Arcadia are just really not of any consequence to them. They're the fairies. Like... Restructure.
Go to the brainstorming phase, right? So, basically, he's gonna create some... events that are more fitting for what's going on in Arcadia. So, if we're fighting Kazros, there are gonna be events, like, kind of tied in with that, so you get like outfits and mounts or something like that
cool.
that are related to what's going on in Arcadia. Pretty cool. Sure. Talked about entropy, not in too much detail, but they're having debates with the 3 guys about this.
What's the entropy?
What they're debating is about high risk, high reward, right? So I guess like Gold River is more towards high risk, high reward, or not. I guess, I don't know. Entropy is something that we gotta like actually talk about. He didn't go much into detail. He was very like sidetracked. He went back and forth a lot.
Entropy gear. Oh, nervous. Right. Okay.
All right. So TLDR, he's having debates about that with the 3 guys. And 6 character goal limit, no ego. What does this mean? So 6 character limit at the time was a good idea, but just because it was a good thing at that, it was a good idea back then, doesn't mean it's good going forward.
Yeah, eventually this is what happens sometimes is like the player base adapts and changes what they do based off of like just anything, right? Like, you know, you add in a system and then the system affects the player base in a certain way and it works for a while and then it doesn't work. I think a really good example of that is like factions in WoW, where like factions in WoW worked really well for a while and then they stopped working because people just adapted to them. The meta changes,
right.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great attitude from Gold River because he says, you know, even though they made a decision long ago and ended up being a mistake, they don't have the ego to be like, no, we were right. But they don't have the Blizzard mentality.
Well, they were right. At the time, that was a problem and they fixed it with this thing and and it worked that way. But then the difference is that things change. Like the player base adapts, things evolve. You can't just stick it like It's like you can never stick, you can never step in the same river twice. Things are always changing. You can't go in and affect it and then expect it to be the exact same because the players adapt.
Right. The long ago Blizzard mentality.
You have to be agile.
If they implemented something into the game and they think it's bad system after a couple months or couple years, they're okay.
Yeah,
with
just get rid of it.
Whoops, this was not good. My bad.
It was working,
All right,
and now
let's
it's
get this
not.
hell out of here. Right? So I like that. What he's pretty much saying here is that 6-character goal limit at the time was a good thing. Now, currently, is it a good thing? He's going to go back, look at the data, and he's not going to say, no, we're not going to do it. Or
from a Western player perspective, I think there should be a 1-character gold limit. It's that simple. People should not want to play alts to feed their main. It's cringe gameplay. There should be more things in the game for your main character to do instead of forcing you to make characters that you actually have no interest in, but you're just playing them to feed your main. The game should reward you for playing alts. That'd be nice. But the difference is that, like, if you're getting rewarded for playing these alts and you want to do that, that's something you can do regardless of the gold limit. Why do you get it more than one time?
Yes, we're going to do it. But nothing.
To be insane with busing? Who cares? So then people get more gold. Okay. Well, so what? Like, what? So look. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make the game worse for everybody, just because some people want to be fucking degenerates. No, if they want to do that and they want to get all the gold and do all this shit, that's up to them. But please stop ruining the fucking game and making it worse for everyone under the premise of making it fair. The game's never going to be fucking fair. Some people playing the game 17 hours a day. Nothing's fair compared to this person. They're better than you and they're always going to be better than you. It doesn't matter what you put into the game.
That in this MMO, nothing is concrete. Right, like the Chaos Dungeons. If there is something that needs
daily limits, not character limits, yes,
or
yes, daily and not character limits,
they're gonna do that and drop the ego, or not even have the ego at the first place. All right, that's good. Soul Eater animations were people really didn't like it. It felt
and also like here's another thing, right? Is like if they gave an incentive for players to do more Guardian raids. Like, you can only do it, not Guardian raids, excuse me, more Legion raids. People would go in and they would join raids for, like, let's say Vaulton or Vicus, especially Vaulton, that were full of, like, random players. Because they knew that they could carry the raid. At least if it's Gate 2. Yeah, it would give them an incentive to help out nubs. And it would just happen through natural design of the game.
Glavier Copypasta, aka showed signs of laziness. I've never seen this before. I have had other classes complain about their animation, idle animation, standing animation, like Scrapper. However, they never really went back to fix them. But for the first time, I think they are going to be going back and fixing Soul Eater. That's crazy. So before her release, they are taking the feedback of their users and going to go back to the drawing board and work on our swing animations and auto animations. That's crazy. That's cool. Third Awakening is in the works.
Why would the Third Awakening, like, am I the only person that doesn't care about the Third Awakening? Because it's probably going to be the best one and it's just a new V key. Okay. Press the button, does the damage. Wow, it's a different animation. That's crazy. Do I give a fuck about this at all? Like, I really, I don't give a fuck. Third Awakening is supposed to be sort of tripod upgrades and upgrade stuff. Yeah, it's just like, it's not a big deal.
They don't want to screw this up, so it's going through many.
Ask about you didn't play the game. I can't. Why are you having to biased opinions? Because I stopped playing the game. And the truth is that if Lost Ark had prevented more people from not playing the game, they wouldn't have to do these emergency live streams. And I'm explaining why I stopped playing the game. Also, I beat Belshazzar. I have all the I beat the game. Like, the reason why I stopped by was I beat it, basically. Like, there are a few things I didn't do. Didn't get the Isle of Yearning Island Soul. I'm not going to either. But other things like that, yeah, I beat the game. Didn't do hard mode. Yeah, because I quit before then. I didn't do hard mode Vaulton either. Or Hell mode Vaulton. Didn't you really like Lost Ark 2? Yeah, I did. Yeah, and like, again, I feel like, obviously, a lot of the problems that I have with the game, like, I'm, like, in a way, like, if I'm having these problems, everybody else is having them 10x more.
Drafts. Male Scrapper, it's not coming out because to appeal Chinese audience.
Because I just spend money, right? And I skip the grind.
Great ideas.
But other people don't do that.
And he just recaps pretty much the 3 main points about censorship, as well as the new director.
Yep.
And the dailies and the end game content going forward. Yeah. He is sorry for letting people down. He's also been very hurt by this. There is a lot of things that needs to be changed. Find the problem, talk about the problem, back and forth. Find, talk, implement, find, talk, implement, right? So it's gonna take a while, guys. It's not, as he said, it's not gonna be in an instant. It's gonna take some time. And sadly,
I really hate whenever people say stuff like that, honestly. Because it's not. It doesn't have to take a long time. Like, you know what the decision that WoW did that actually gave me a lot of faith in developers to, like, program the game in the right way? Like, the story is fucking cringe, whatever, who cares? But it was whenever they said that they decided that conduits were bad, and that conduit energy was bad, and they were going to remove it in a later patch. But until then, they were going to allow you to just have your conduit energy reset every single time that you logged in, or something like that. As just a band-aid fix that effectively removed it from the game that day until they programmed in a more long-term fix. And whenever they did that, I was like, wow, I think these guys are actually serious about making the game good. Because they don't care about, like, oh, let's fix this in 6 months or something like that. No, they fixed it right then. Now, it should have been earlier, but at least it happened immediately. And I don't like this idea that you, like, there's obviously a line of code that says how many fucking times you can get, like, how much rested experience or, like, energy you use for doing a Guardian raid or doing a Chaos Dungeon. And there's, like, there's a line of code that says 50. Just change that line of code to 100. Why can't you do that? I refuse to accept that this is not something that you could fix in, like, 3 days. Absolutely, this is outrageous.
That might not be something that you want to hear, right? That might not. That you might already be burnt out. If this gives you hope,
it's band-aid fix.
Great.
Yes.
If it's taking too long, maybe you don't believe him. Maybe in 5 months he's not here anymore. There's a new director and he changes things. Who knows? That is up to you as an adult to decide. But honestly, what can we do? All you could do is either stick around and wait or go somewhere else and see the changes afterwards.
Yeah.
That is up to you guys. I think I included almost everything.
New director for every patch.
I don't know what the Korean player base...
New Legion commander, new Lost Ark commander fucking patch.
Their reaction is. But what do you guys think, chat?
Okay.
What do you guys think? I feel, in my opinion, that I like this part right here. I like the way that instead of saying, instead of locating a problem and coming up with a band-aid fix, I like the fact that he goes back and think about the problem as he said, as a player.
I totally agree with this. I think that the problem is fundamentally that Chaos Dungeons are annoying and boring. But I just think that you need to have both, right? You need to have the ideal of a long-term solution while at the same time working towards a band-aid fix to make players happy now.
As he's doing it himself, right? The loot not being flashy. Chaos Dungeon feeling repetitive. Why do it twice, right?
Same videos, yeah, okay.
fully understands the burnout.
50 people have typed that now.
All right. As well as the Guardians, the daily homework, I hate that word. The dailies.
Yeah.
Right? The dailies.
Just
he
bullshit.
understands the dailies are a problem. Burnout is a problem. And having fun is very important. And I think, I want to see how he cooks. I want to see how he's going to cook it. Yeah, I want to see that. However, I also want to see him address what we're going to do about multiple characters, right? I like the Guardian changes if it's 3 per week with, more.
3 Guardian raids per week is a great idea. And I actually think that they should make it to where you can only do the Guardian, you can only get rewards from the Guardian once a week. That way you have to do 3 different Guardians. And that's going to cause like higher tier players to do the lower tier Guardians and help newer players. And it also makes it easier for them and less repetitive. So it solves the problem with having new players that can't get into the end game because they're not, like, they don't have anybody helping them. And then it also solves the problem of, like, just every Tuesday or reset day, you just run the 3 Guardians, the same Guardian 3 times in a row. Yeah, I think that's obviously what you should do.
Juiced up fights, more interesting fights, and better rewards. That's cool. I would like to see what they're going to do with Chaos Dungeons. How are they going to restructure this or redo this? Okay. And then endgame, they might...
What they should do for Chaos Dungeons is they should make the entire Chaos Dungeon like the part 2 of the Chaos Dungeon. Part 1 sucks and part 3 sucks, but part 2 is really fun. I actually am a very big fan of part 2 Chaos Dungeons. They're awesome because there's like elite spawning all the time. You want to run to them, have other bosses spawn, like add in other events. Like, come on. Like, what is this? Like, how can you not fix this?
Remake or do other vertical content. He mentioned the Argos on the Vulcan platform kind of thing again. Maybe using, like, he's been thinking about also the need of hell modes, I guess, and how he wants to do that, how he wants to implement that into endgame as well.
It's like a fucking 1% thing. Who cares?
Enjoy more by others.
They need to have
and
more
the events
raids.
Are good. Entropy, I think Entropy needs to hit a little bit more in detail about this. 6 character goal limit. I don't know what he's gonna do with this. Like, are we gonna have 7 character goal limit, 8 character goal limit?
1
is it gonna
character
be shrunken
gold
down
limit.
to 4?
1
right?
character gold limit,
like
and you can get gold from every single raid in tier 3 once a week. That's what you should have it. You can do every single raid, but you can only get gold from it once a week. So if you have 1 character, you can do all of the raids on that 1 character with 6x gold. Yeah, 6 or 3x gold. Yeah. Because that would also, again, that's what causes the problem. That's what solves the problem of new players not being able to get groups. The reason why a lot of new players aren't able to get groups and nobody wants to play with them is because, like, hardcore players aren't doing Vulcan. They don't give a fuck about Vulcan, I bet. So why would they go back and do Vulcan except for, like, maybe a card chance or something like that? I bet like 99% of players don't do that. But if you give them a gold reward for that, and the gold reward is substantial, they will sit through it and do it for that reason. And also cards, like people hit Light of Salvation 30. They will eventually hit it. And then after that, there's no reason for them to do it. But gold is always a compelling reason. If we have a 1 character gold limit, people will actually start playing hell content. I think that what I'm saying is that it basically gives a hand up for the newer players because it gives the older players and the better players a incentive to play with them. And because, like, yeah, obviously a lot of the Vulcan groups, like if I was making a Vulcan group, it's like, hey guys, I want to do a Vulcan. Item level requirement is 1570. So let's go do Vulcan, get it out of the way. So we kill Vulcan in like 3 seconds, that's it. But there's going to be a lot of people that don't do that. They will exist. And you only need 1 person who's 1550 to make everybody else's Vulcan experience way fucking easier.
Soul Eater change, Third Awakening. It looks like they don't want to screw this up. Going through a lot of drafts.
That'll just make noobs not learn to raid. Somebody says that'll make noobs not learn to raid. Noobs aren't able to learn to raid now because they can't even get in. At least watching somebody while they're dead shows them the mechanics. They can't even do the raid to begin with.
been other couple things like KR related, like Hot Shop, Hot Deal. Hot Deal was dog
and who
shit.
cares?
So I guess he's really confident that he's gonna put in the hot deal shop in July. It better be like 40 mounts for $1. I'm just kidding. Like something actually a hot deal, because he's hyping it up. Like he seems angry about it. Like he wants to clear their image on that.
And then also another thing is like, when's the next Abyss dungeon? Because like Oriza per Visa or whatever the fuck it was 1370. Is it like 1540 or something like that? Elgatia? Oh my god. K-Angel? Is it dungeon? Oh, I thought K-Angel was like a... I thought it was like a 4-man, like a Cockle Sadon. Oh, it's just an Abyss dungeon. Okay, I didn't understand that. Okay, yeah, so they just added one. But for the longest time, that was it. And then also, like, why not add in a few 16-player rates? Just add them in, have them give cool rewards, and people queue up and do them. And if somebody goes in there and it's super hard, or sorry, it's super easy, and the guy that has like it's like Zeals with like his fucking character from Korea, and he one-shots the boss, okay. Sure. 16-player raids, matchmaking be 3 hours. No, it'd be easy. Just make it easier raid. Or more 4-player raids. Yeah, how about both?
Yeah.
Add in both.
What'd you guys say? Sounds pretty good, but we'll see. Yeah. We'll have to see.
Give them extra lives like they did on
I would
Argos.
love to see Gold River back again with some data. Like how he mentioned this was very important. Like what is he going to do to help middle users? I feel like there are a lot of systems that also need a lot of help. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, for what he did today...
I think also one of the worst things for the game that a lot of people don't realize, because only new players really experience this substantially, is that there are these like long-term progression systems like cards. I think cards are the worst example. And like gems are probably the second worst example. That you have to play the game for a year to get Light of Salvation 30. Like, yes, obviously, I'm sure some whales got it before then, but realistically, even the people that have it after a year probably whaled or did something crazy to get it. It's really, really hard to get that. That's too long to have something that's so important.
Even though he was very nervous and all over the place.
A lot of people hit it 1 year into the US.
I like
I saw at least like 30, 40 people with that.
He doesn't want to just do a band-aid. Like, he wants to rip the game apart and then make it more modern. I like that.
Yeah, it's smart.
It's not just like reduce it 2 to 1, which is a nice fix, but instead of doing that, hit the fundamental problems of the Chaos Dungeon. Yeah, hit the fundamentals of the Guardians, the end game, and the vertical progression and all of that. Yeah, I like that. Anyways, that's gonna be it.
Man, I think Lost Ark needs a lot more work than they think. That's what I think. I think it needs a lot more work than people expect. Saints video has way more info. Yeah, I'll watch that tomorrow. I don't want to watch 2 of these back to back. But they need to move fast. Yeah, it needs a lot of work. And I actually think that they need to make a lot of big changes, but they don't need to remake the entire game. Like a good example of this is like Alaric Sanctuary. Alaric Sanctuary as a raid is fucking incredible. It is such an amazing raid. But there's almost never a reason to do it. Why would anybody go and do it? It's dead. Yeah, it's a dead raid. Like, fix that stuff. Add the content. Like, just make sailing is a waste of time. The sailing events are just not fun. Like, that's the problem with the sailing events. They suck. Lost Ark has less players than BDO whenever you include the BDO launcher. I mean, in the US, I would expect that, yeah. You see Stelican from Trident was fired? I did see that, yeah. Modifying what already exists is harder than starting from scratch? I don't think so. If modifying what exists is harder, then why do they keep reusing all the same boss models? All the events, new players congregate in the same spot, try to achieve a goal with each other. I thought that was dope. Yeah, I think so too. Like the Naruni racing was really fun, and like there were a couple of other events, but some of the other events were really kind of boring. 1600 Alaric raid? But like, why couldn't you just do the Alaric raid, but have 16 people instead of 8? And that way, like, half of the mechanics wouldn't really be that bad. And just, like, make it effectively, like, an LFR difficulty for players. Because the problem is, like, Lost Ark has, like, the game is really hard. Like, I don't think people respect that because they play the game a lot. They're playing on, like, 6 characters a week. So, of course, it's not hard for you. But, like, I think the game's really hard. Like, in terms of, like, the amount of things you need to react for, the amount of things that you need to do, oh, fuck that. That's really difficult. Islands with other players was the best part for me. Yeah, I agree. I really like doing the islands with, like, groups of people. How about everybody gets extra rewards if there's a Mokoko guy in the lobby? I don't like that, and the reason why I don't like that is because then people would try to game that system. So I just think that it should be natural. Tuki? Yeah, Tuki was fun. Even Spida Island was fun. Because, like, there would always be the one guy... I remember the chicken. Yes, the chicken. The chicken was so good. Alakir Island. Yes. And like this Spida Island where somebody, like, they would stand at the egg, right? And then there'd be somebody standing behind the egg so you couldn't see them, but they were doing nothing. So they could avoid getting shamed for it. And then there was one shameless fuck running around mining all of the other mines. That was me, by the way. Like, mining all the other mines, and I would just, like, run over, throw the bomb on the thing, and it's like, I'm doing more work than you guys anyway, right? Because I have my mining leveled up. And nobody else is doing anything. Seagull Island? I don't remember Seagull. Was that the one where you, like, ran at the boss and you blew yourself up? The content isn't repeatable, though? Well, no, it's not repeatable. And that's fine, but you add more of it so you can do that instead. There should be a pity system for islands when running it 50 or 100 times gives you the map or an island token. I think that the drop rates for some of them, like the Isle of Yearning, is like, at this point they can never buff it, right? Because it's just like such a meme. But it should have never existed. MMOs have always been about doing the same content over and over. MMOs have always been about doing the same content over and over. Okay, well, I'm glad to know that now they'll never evolve. Okay, well, you know, that settles it. That's it. Well, we solved it. All right. That's all there is to it, guys. That's simple.